Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here is your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Well, welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. How are you doing on this Christmas Eve morning, 2017? We are here with Aaron Brown this morning. Aaron is the pastor over at St. Paul's United Methodist, and of course I'm with you again this morning. And we're grateful that you joined us for a little Christmas Eve show. I hope I'm dressed festively enough for you this morning. But we are going to be talking a little bit about what's going on at Christmas at our own places, the nature and the meaning of what we celebrate at Christmas, our own family traditions and things like that we might have done in the past for Christmas. But it's just good to be able to spend this morning with you. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute, so don't go away.
Once I quit playing football, I still kept up with the eating, the amount of calories I wasn't exercising, so the weight started adding on. Dr. Lou is very knowledgeable in the work he does. He also has a program set up that has support systems in place for you. You'll go through the seminar at first. He'll give you the different examples of surgeries you can have to see which one works best with you. He will also sit down with you and discuss the options, what he feels, but he'll work with you the entire time. Mercy has their gastric bypass program here. They have all kinds of resources and support systems in place. They want to see you succeed, and they're here to help you the entire time, even after the surgery.
Well, thanks again for joining us on this Christmas Eve morning. I always chuckle because we're going to make it through today, which is the fourth Sunday of Advent, bang. And then all of a sudden in the evening, I had to tell our congregation, do not come to the Sunday night Mass and expect it for the fourth Sunday of Advent, because by the time we get to Sunday night, it's going to be Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yeah.
And they're not supposed to double dip either, but I'm going to bet you some of them are going to try.
Double dip? What do you mean?
Well, see, you're supposed to go to Mass for the fourth Sunday of Advent, and they're supposed to go to Mass for Christmas. So the deal is some of them are going to come and they're going to say, well, Father, by doing this, and of course they're going to do it right before it starts. They're going to say, Father, by doing this, have we done what we were supposed to do? And of course I'm just like, don't ask me questions you don't want to know the answers to, because you really know the answer.
So they got to be there Sunday and Monday. Exactly,
Sunday and Monday, because they're two different celebrations.
Yeah.
The one wraps up all of our preparation for Advent season about being prepared for Christmas, and then of course, bang, we're right into Christmas that same night.
We should probably talk a little bit about Advent. I mean,
sure.
That might be a word some folks don't know about, right?
It might, probably.
I always thought of it this way, that Advent is like, the word Advent is part of the word adventure. Well, Advent means something that is about to happen.
Something is about to happen, yes, it's coming, and we wait for that coming.
Right.
And of course, we always say it's got that twofold character. We're waiting for Jesus at the end of time, and then we're also waiting for him to be born in the stories. We know he was already born. It's not like what Christmas time we go back and pretend.
Celebration of the birth. It's
exactly.
a birthday celebration.
We don't go back and pretend like he never made it.
Yeah.
But we actually just go back and say, well, let's look at the immediate preparation before his birth, and then bang, the birth itself. And then of course for us, we celebrate that for a long period of time, because then we have those 12 days of Christmas and all those
Epiphany.
things. Yeah, Christmas and Epiphany, right.
But Advent, I always think of Advent sort of like Lent before Easter, is that the big day is so important. You don't just show up. You get yourself ready. You prepare yourself. You reflect on what it means that God would become one of us. And that's at the heart of Christmas, the God taking on flesh, becoming who we are, walking in our shoes.
Well, and I think so many of our viewers are doing that exact same thing today. It's just like anything that didn't get done, they're now making their final preparations to make sure that they're ready for the celebration.
Yeah.
And again, depending on the personalities and everything, you may have a lot of preparations to make, or you may just be putting that final little touch on whatever it is.
Are you done with your shopping? You got it all?
It's so interesting anymore since my family. We had some strange things that we did. No, we had some strange things that we did as a family, because after I was ordained, and started to work, I mean, we didn't celebrate Christmas except, you know, me and my parish. But like, for example, my brother and sister-in-law didn't always come in for that celebration. Mom and dad many times would, but my brother and sister-in-law. So what we would always do is we would celebrate Christmas, you know, whenever we could after. So it was always during the Christmas season. So, you know, sometimes we'd celebrate it on the 29th. Sometimes we'd celebrate on the 27th, which is my anniversary of ordination. You know, sometimes it just would depend on what we were doing. So I just got to the point where, in a lot of ways, since we were celebrating it later anyway, most of us, we'd wait until, you know, unless we, you know, of course we found the perfect gift or whatever, we'd buy it ahead of time. But otherwise, if somebody also had socks on their list, we'd go out and buy them after Christmas, because, you know, you'd be able to, like, you know, hit all the sales because, you know, the rest of us are dumping all this merchandise, and we were able to just like pick it up, you know, for a song right after. It wasn't bad at all.
You got a system, man.
I did. It was a system. Now, but now that my family's not here anymore, I gotta say, I don't exchange gifts with many people. And you know, of course, my parishioners are very sweet and loving and kind to me during Christmas time or those things. But I don't exchange gifts with too many people, because really, with most of my friends, I've made the deal through the years. Let's just, if we got to spend money by getting together at other times of the year, why don't we wait and save it for that? Because I don't need anything. And I've got to tell you, for me, it's kind of become. Christmas has really truly become, for me, about the spiritual side of things rather than the gift-giving side of things. And please, I'm not trying to sound like Scrooge here, okay? That nobody should have presents, or that Christmas, you know.
It's hard to think of you as Scrooge with your hat on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I just really, I don't know, I just think we've come to that whole thing of, you know, it's about being in church for me, and it's about praying, and it's about being with parishioners, it's about being with family and friends, you know, rather than necessarily the gift giving. And I think there can be a great spirituality to gift giving as well. But for me, it's just kind of settled in now, since my immediate family's gone, and my friends and I have agreed to spend the money with each other when we're, you know, traveling or doing whatever later on. Christmas is really kind of quiet and just about being together, but not about the gifts. And that's just the way my life's evolved. I mean, that wasn't a conscious choice. I didn't plan it. I didn't tell everybody this is what we're going to do. It just kind of evolved that way.
I try to emphasize that with my kids. You know, I got an 11-year-old and a 17-year-old, and
you better not forget about gifts for your 11-year-old.
Right,
you will be in great big trouble.
You can't forget about that, but try and shape it in a way that is helping them understand that there is a deeper spiritual meaning to what Christmas is all about. And you know, one of the traditions we have that you know, we share with our Roman Catholic friends is the Advent wreath, and so which is 4 candles in a circular, usually piece of greenery that you light each candle for each week, as you anticipate the light coming back into the world. And so we always do that, and I don't know what the candles symbolize in your tradition, but we do hope and hope, joy, peace, and love. Joy is always the 3rd candle. So hope, peace,
joy,
and
that
love.
is, I mean, and that is, you know, our Sunday where we do celebrate joy. The readings are all about being joyful. So we don't really necessarily assign virtues, or, you know, those Christian virtues to the candles per se. The candles for us are really more of a, I mean, it used to just be a symbol. I mean, it really was kind of a pagan symbol that we Christianized, that we baptized.
That's right. We took it from the pagans.
You know, they used
luring
to roll
the light back.
Exactly.
The days are getting shorter. We got to lure the light back. Let's light some candles.
Absolutely. And I mean, they would roll even the wreath in some cultures into, as you know, the big festival, you know, where they would bring the fire back literally. You know, for us, it's just a matter of waiting. You know, sometimes we said symbolically, you know, for each of the 1,000 years that our ancestors waited for the Messiah. I mean, there's all kinds of things like that. But of course, we have a tendency to add layers to things later on.
But, I mean, the whole idea is the same, though. It's to bring back the connection to God becoming one of us.
Right.
So you know,
and that really is at the core of our Christmas. It's just, I mean, that's what we're celebrating. For Christians, obviously, God becoming flesh, God coming and living among us in a very real way, which really changes, for us, all Christians, changes the way that we're supposed to be kind of engaging the world. Because if Jesus was here and lived with us and did his thing with us, how then do we, I mean, he would, you know, we speak of him as the incarnate Word, or the Word made flesh. Then how do we stay that Word made flesh as Christians in the world today, making sure that the world is still aware that Jesus is alive and well and with them. You know?
Right. It's exactly what we try and do, and throughout the process. Do you have any traditions that you do? I mean, one that I have personally is I always read A Christmas Carol. Almost every single Advent, I read, and I kind of break it up into smaller pieces. But for some reason that really speaks to my soul, to read that.
Well, it's a great Methodist tradition, the hymn tradition. I mean, that's a good thing, you know. And
do Roman Catholics have the traditional Christmas hymns?
Oh, sure. And again, many of the old
Silent
tried and true
Night,
favorites. Yes.
Away in a Manger.
Sure. And we use all those, but of course, there's also been, musicians have not been still since the time that those were written. So there's always a few contemporary ones in there as well. I think our music folks, try to make sure that they mix it up a little bit. There's some things. I mean, for example, if they didn't sing "Oh Holy Night" at midnight mass, you'd think that the world was, that the world would be over. And so they do it because everybody expects that. And usually, just kind of traditional at St. Peter's, "Oh, come all you faithful" is usually what we start with, and "Joy to the world's" what we end with for Christmas, because it's like, one is a gathering song for us to get ready and to kind of move into our Christmas worship. And also, "Joy to the world" is kind of like, okay, Christmas is finally here. Let's, belt it out and do our thing.
Yeah.
So,
we always end our services with Silent Night.
Okay.
And lighting of candles. Everybody gets a candle. Sure. And the idea is the light has come into the world, and then everybody walks out with that light.
Cool.
That from one light, the light of Christ, born 2,000 years ago, from one light to the disciples and their 12 lights, to going out from them to a world where billions of people become the light of Christ.
Well, I always find it to be a beautiful season of light that are sending forth. Of course, is even where we get the word for the Mass. Okay, ita missa est. You're sent. The Mass is, here. So, that whole thing, that whole dismissal that we do at the end is where we actually even get our title for the Mass, because we're sending people out into the world. We haven't sent them out with any lit candles.
Yeah. You don't send them out with lit candles?
With lit candles. And there are other times of the year when we will use candles as part of our ritual and our worship. But Christmas, there's nothing for us specifically designated. Of course, there are lots of candles. We have candles in all of our windows, and and certainly we change our Advent wreath even into a Christmas wreath. But instead of the purple and the pink candles, we have white candles and gold bows and all those kinds of things. So some of it's just in terms of the decorations and those things.
But everything's meant to point people to the truths, even the colors and the evergreen, everlasting life. All those things are meant to point us.
Well, we are here this morning with Aaron Brown talking about Christmas at St. Paul's United Methodist and at St. Peter's Catholic Church. So we're going to be coming back after a quick break. This is Faith in Our Hometown. Don't go away. I know I'm short. About, 10 seconds? 15? What am I?
We're short?
Well, it won't matter. We'll make it up on the next, So again, welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. This is our Christmas Eve show, and I'm here with Aaron Brown from St. Paul's United Methodist, and we're just talking a little bit about how our celebrations come together. I know we'll have 3 services, 2 tonight, 1 tomorrow. I don't know where this started to happen, but anybody with kids seems to want to do the Vigil Mass at 6. And so the 6 is many times just an absolute free-for-all with all the kids and all those kinds of things.
What
so
energy, what life.
It is, and a free-for-all too.
And they're all hopped up on cookies.
Exactly. There's not enough refined sugar in the world as they're getting ready for those things. And then we have Midnight Mass, and before anybody asks,
it starts
it's
at 11.
midnight. No.
It starts
It's
at midnight.
Yes. That was one of the first things that I did when I came to I just can't do it. I cannot do midnight mass at 10. I can't do midnight mass at 11. I just got to do midnight mass at midnight. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point? Let's just
Well,
do
it ends at
midnight.
midnight. That's
no,
the point.
It's not the point. The point
Yeah.
the tradition was that you would pray in the middle of the night when the night had reached its, midpoint.
Then you started. Okay.
Then you
I get
start.
it.
So we do Christmas carols beforehand, but actually midnight mass is at midnight. And then of course we have a 10 a.m. So, and you
Yeah.
guys have got a slate of services, I'm sure,
Yeah,
too.
we do. We'll do a 10 a.m. this morning, and then 3, 5, 7, and 11 in Joplin, and then a 10 a.m. and a make sure I got it, 5 p.m. in Carl Junction.
So your 10 a.m. is on Christmas Eve.
Right, all those, and they'll all be the same. They'll all be a
Right.
Christmas candlelight service, beautiful time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's what we do.
yeah. And, you guys, in terms of, are there any other Methodist, traditions that I'm not aware of? I mean, it was just, are there anything that you guys do that kind of like is, kind of in the tradition that you guys have?
Well, one of the on tonight at midnight, we chime midnight.
Okay.
That's one of the things. It's kind of a tradition.
I'll
that-
listen to it from across town.
Yeah, as you start yours,
Because our
we
bells are already
end
ringing,
ours.
but that's all right, yeah.
So yeah, I could end ours and run over to yours. And
Go for it.
So at midnight, we'll chime that, and it is the final sending out for
Cool.
everybody.
And then you don't do anything much on Christmas Day.
We do not.
Yeah.
We do not typically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be for us. We just encourage people. That's a time to be with family and
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy that. We do always prepare a study guide for folks so that encouraging them through that whole week, even on Christmas Day, to pause in the midst of everything and reflect, do a little reading, do a little time of conversation with your family, process it. Yeah.
Cool.
So one other thing I do prior to Christmas is I read Dietrich Bonhoeffer's God is in the Manger. It's one of the things I do. It's kind of reflections from him while he was in prison and prior to his death, after his death, some of the writings that he released.
Yeah. I have little things that I will, little devotionals that I will read too. Just kind of keep myself in the mood. Certain pieces of music, that I'll put on and listen to while I'm, sitting around praying during
Rocking
the day.
around the Christmas tree?
I actually, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree wasn't on the list,
No?
but I might add it just for you this year.
Santa Baby?
Yeah, no.
No?
But for me, I just enjoy the that time spent. Christmas Day, always there seems to be, again, we prayed at different points in time because again we were trying to make that whole day holy by the different hours. And some of that, of course, is done especially by our monastic community. So like Benedictine monks and things like that, they'll pray at different times of the day and different
Every
times
day?
of the
Or is
but
it
every day, but especially
specifically?
on Christmas. I mean, Christmas, again, it's one of our two major feast days for the year. Easter and Christmas are the two biggies. And so Christmas is done with just a lot more solemnity. We pull out all the stops on, Christmas. And so even on Christmas morning, we do have one service at 10. And so, in that will be all the things. I think it boils down to and then what people's family traditions are. Because, like, for example, all the ones who celebrate, like, so for example, on Christmas Eve, they'll come to Mass in the evening and then maybe go home and celebrate part of the Christmas deal. For those who wait till the next morning, then it's like, they'll wake up, they'll do the early part of Christmas and then transition into going to Mass and then coming home and then having the meal and to do all those things. So, we hit both. But I will tell you that probably over the years I've noticed, or at least that's certainly been the Joplin phenomenon in the 11 years I've been here, that the two evening masses, both the vigil at 6 and midnight, are usually more packed than the Sunday celebration. But the Sunday celebration is still pretty full. So
Yeah. I always feel that I want to let people know that Christians didn't celebrate Christmas for the first 200-300 years.
yeah,
Wasn't important to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was not. Certainly not as important as the celebration of Easter,
Right.
for sure.
For those early Christians, it was all about Easter.
Right.
And it wasn't until the 4th century or so that Christians began to say, you know what? if we're missing out on the fact that Jesus was literally born, then we're missing out on a big portion of his existence in his life.
And there were pockets, just depending on where they were, that did celebrate, a celebration of the Lord's birth, or things like that. But it really took several hundred years before it became a universal celebration for Christianity.
And part of it is they didn't know the exact time when Christ was born.
And we still don't. I mean, I don't want to shock anybody this morning.
Yeah.
But we settled on December 25th,
right.
But we have no idea really when Jesus was born.
And they did that because that's the end of, or very near the end of the winter solstice, right? And
part of it.
The light begins to come back into the world. When light begins to overcome darkness. So what better time to talk about? One of Jesus' nicknames, of course, is the light
right.
of the world.
Exactly. And again, they were also tied in at one point. At least some of the theories are that they were also tied in with some Roman feasts. And again, we were at that point in time, we were becoming the predominant, religion in the empire, and then becoming that predominant religion in the empire was just kind of like, okay, let's take things that people already know. So, okay, the Feast of the Light coming back. Feast of, maybe there were Roman feast days, okay, but it's just like, okay, now look, we've got this even in a bigger sense, in a more full way to celebrate, and so we kind of, again, pulled that in and, kind of enculturated, if you will, into the culture that we were at that point in time becoming more and more dominant in.
Yep. And now I think we kind of battle, I know I do, just within myself, within my family, within our church, the whole idea of consumerism being what Christmas is about.
Well, I always look at this as a challenge, okay? Because I know we live in a, we can listen to all the commentators or read the writings, but I really truly believe we're living in, a pagan society again, really in so many ways. And that's not, I'm not saying like that's a dirty word, but I'm just saying we as Christians don't have the dominance in the culture that we used to have. I mean, it used to, for many years, we had a Christian culture. And for whatever reason, that's waned a little bit. And now we're back to kind of it being a free-for-all. People believe what they want to believe and do what they want to do. And for me, that's always the great challenge.
It is. I agree. I'm right with you there.
I just want to, why not try to the same way that our ancestors did it, and they proclaimed Jesus in the midst of this, diverse culture, and eventually, the message lived, despite us, despite people like us. Okay, the message lived, and to me that is the important part about continuing to do it is that we get the opportunity now to do the same thing. We can proclaim that to this world that's a little skeptic, and this world that doesn't believe, and this world that is so cynical. Yet we get to stand in the middle of it all and say, hey, we've got a little bit of a solution. We've got a little bit of a difference. And I know you do that all year round, just like I do.
Yeah.
We try to bring Jesus into the culture and baptize it again, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and I think in that skeptical culture, I always think of Joseph and Jesus. I don't know, we can call him stepdad, Jesus, Joseph. But I mean, he kind of the patron saint of skeptics in a way. When Mary says, "Hey, I'm pregnant, and this is the Messiah," he didn't believe her at first.
Oh,
and I think
we never had a virgin birth before, at least according to the general way of thinking.
He did not believe her, and so I think I'm glad that's in the Christmas story, because there are people today that are skeptical of that, and to say, hey, you're not the only one. Joseph was skeptical too.
Back in the years when I used to have time to do Christmas cards, I would do a reflection every year, and then some years I'd do it on, for Christmas. Some years I'd do it for Epiphany. Some years I'd do it for the Feast of the Annunciation when Jesus was, conceived. I mean, I just find any excuse to send out a card at a time that I finally got around to doing it. There's the real truth. But in there, one of my reflections one year was on Joseph, and he really has become one of my favorite characters in the Christmas story, because he kind of gets lost sometimes, because Jesus,
he doesn't
of course,
say anything. He has no speaking parts according to our scripture.
Well, yeah, Jesus is, it gets front and center, and then of course Mary comes next, and so Joseph comes in a distant third. Yeah. But I love seeing in some ways the stories about Joseph. Again, even though with no speaking parts, still figures prominently in the two Christmas stories, and I love looking at his role in that whole thing too. I think it's kind of fun. Yeah. Well, we got less than a minute. What do you want to say to everybody out there in TV land?
Merry Christmas. Find a church near you and go and celebrate.
Yeah.
Celebrate. Don't wear a hat, though.
No, I won't be wearing this.
Saying.
Trust me, I won't be wearing this for church either. But I do want to echo Aaron's sentiment that just says, if you don't want to be at home by yourself, come find a Christian community to join. Any of our Christian communities.
Yeah, there are a lot of great churches doing great things.
It would be wonderful. We'd love to have you, and it is, again, our one of our most special days out of the year. We're going to be right back after this Mercy Minute, so don't go away.
The SANE program, or Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner program, is a program established to provide
Are we coming back? I'm not going to be in the shot, though.
To patients who...
Yeah, you will. Don't worry. They'll
oh, gosh.
Wow.
This program's really designed to be a collaborative community response to sexual assault.
It's really important to make sure that it's not just the report or the forensic, but they get all of the testing that might be needed for their health.
It's also important to know that you don't need to know if you want to press charges or not. We don't get law enforcement involved unless you request it.
I just want to express to a victim that it is never your fault. You always have the right to say no, and that it's your body. So if you say yes one time, it doesn't mean every time.
I think it's important that sexual assault victims remember they've been victims of a crime, and crime victims do not pay for those services.
Well, again, thanks for joining us for Christmas Eve in Faith in Our Hometown. My guest this morning has been my good friend, Aaron Brown. Aaron, it's always good to have you with us. Thank you for, I'm so glad you finally found a hat.
I did.
For the finale of the show.
There we go.
This is a good thing. But we've been just sharing a little bit about the reason for our season of Christmas, the beauty that it brings to our communities, the personal, significance that it brings to our lives.
Yeah. The light has arrived.
My life would not be the same without Christmas because, Jesus came into this world, and that's what we're celebrating. Different Christians will celebrate it in different ways. You can find one of those places near you if you so desire. It is Christmas Eve. So again, as I said right before the break, if you're going to be sitting at home, if you don't want to be sitting at home alone, please don't. You're certainly welcome at St. Paul's. You're welcome at St. Peter's. Just come on ahead and celebrate that with other people who are really glad that Jesus came into the world for all of us. We wish you the very merriest of the Christmas seasons and a blessed day tomorrow. This is Faith in Our Hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.